What's going on, everybody? It's me, Clsk Wkhs by Tim, and this video I'm going to look at Workhorse and CleanSpark. We've got some insider buying going on in both of these stocks. So we're going to look at what's going on there. I'm also going to check out the chart and bring up some levels to watch. So let's get right into this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's check out Workhorse and CleanSpark. Now, first off, starting with Workhorse, I'm here at Yahoo Finance, and I'm looking at the insider purchases recently. You'll see that in the month of December, there has been quite a few purchases. There has been one sell, and this was by the director, Michael Lawrence. Now, you'll see on December 7th and 8th, we had a purchase here. We've had the CEO, Rick Dock, made a purchase of shares. We also had the director, Jacqueline Dado, and another director, Raymond Chess. It's also a good thing to see insiders actually buying and not selling. And we also see something with CleanSpark. We do have the CFO, Gary V, purchasing some shares here. This was just the other day. I'll leave the article below highlighting this, but he purchased 19,400 shares, which really isn't all that much. It's only about $35,000. However, it's good to see that they're actually purchasing shares and not selling them. Now, I did want to show you something on both of the charts here. This is Workhorse's chart. You'll see that it took all the gains of the EV hype during all the easy money and during the potential post office win. Now, you know, this baby went all the way into the 40s, a lot of hype, a lot of rally, and it's taken all of it back. We are actually back in here in the year 2020 in March during Max Fear, during that V-shaped recovery. Remember that. So we are now in that point. It's definitely not encouraging to see that we broke a new low recently. You're definitely going to want to watch out for this 130 area. If we break 130, we could potentially fall lower. That would be definitely not a good thing. And you know, in this stock's history in 2019, this did come all the way down to 40 cents. I personally don't see that happening, but I do see the possibility of getting close to $1. I'm not sure that we will get there or not, but I am preparing for that possibility. Now, one thing you'll notice that's very good to see is we do see a potential next earnings, an estimated revenue of almost 11 million, which is definitely good growth over the last 1.5 million. This company's definitely had its issues, and now that under new management, we're seeing that revenue come in. It's definitely a good thing to see. You know, I definitely want to see us get past the C1000s. They have had their issues. The C1000 vans have cursed this company. This is from the previous set of executives, and the current set of executives are going through that inventory, getting things all finished up. They did have suspension issues with those. So they're getting all that figured out, and then they're going to move on to their planned vehicles. So I'm very excited for that. I think it's going to be a good thing to see that these C1000s get out of here, and you know, we're just finally done with those, because it has been a curse to the company. And if you actually want to listen to their last earnings call, I will leave it down below for you. Definitely recommend you check out the earnings call if you haven't yet. But that is a good thing to see that, you know, we should see a nice growth in revenue. There's almost 10x growth in revenue. Does that mean they're profitable by then? Of course not. Does that mean Wall Street could keep selling this off, seeing that they're not profitable? Of course it does. They could keep selling this off. This could easily come down to $1. And, you know, there's a reason I haven't sold this. I've sold some stocks like Astra, Matterport, Sphere 3D, you know, but I have high conviction in Workhorse. And while to the outside eyes that haven't even looked at this company very deeply, you know, people might see this as a lost cause, just seeing how much it's lost on the post-service contract, you know, that it didn't get that contract. People think that this thing is, you know, not worth touching. And you could argue that they've been right, just seeing how much this has fallen. But this to me is a long-term stock, and I do have a position in this one. But just be aware that, you know, it is not without its risk. You know, and the same can be said for CleanSpark stock. This isn't without its risk either. However, I'm not going anywhere on this one. I definitely believe in the long term on CleanSpark. And what do we see? We see continued growth in hash rate. You know, this company is growing their hash rate at an insane rate. While yes, the partnership with Lancium seems like it may fall through, if not just be very, very delayed, we're still going to see a lot of growth in exahash. You know, the sites that they own themselves do have space for more exahash growth. And despite, you know, their projections for 2023's year and going slightly lower than what they expected, I still see them continuing to grow their hash rate. One thing to see here that I think is very worth noting is they do expect their next earnings, this is in February, their next earnings revenue is going to be somewhere around 31.16 million. Now, what did we see last quarter? Saw a pretty crappy quarter, to be honest. Revenue reported of 26 million. What did we see before that? Well, we had a reported revenue of 31 million. I think that the company placed this amount on purpose. They do want to beat their previous 2 quarters, and it would be a good thing to see that. And also, let's just look back a little bit and see before this was a big Bitcoin miner. what were they getting in terms of revenue? They were around 2 million in revenue, jumping around 2 to 3.5 million. What did we start seeing when they decided to start mining? Well, we had a nice little bump up to 8 million. And then what about after that? Well, then we bumped up to 12 million, then 25 million, and then it just started exploding as Bitcoin was growing in price and their exahash was growing. But what happened? We had 2 quarters that came in the same, right around 41 million. This was when Bitcoin was falling in price. They were able to keep up because of their huge growth in mining production, but Bitcoin just kept tumbling and they couldn't keep up, and we have been seeing dropping revenue. I am definitely of the belief that this company, all that we need is Bitcoin to come to the mid 20,000s. I'm talking $25,000, and they will likely be right around these $41 million quarters. What does that mean when Bitcoin potentially comes back up towards the 30s, 40s, dare I say 50s? This company will have very good record-breaking quarters, easily blowing $50 million in revenue out of the water per quarter. That's my opinion. One thing to be aware of, this company is not profitable. And the real question here is, how long is Bitcoin going to stay where it's at? How long is Bitcoin potentially going to continue to downtrend? That is the big question that no one really has an answer to. Now, in my previous video, I did mention that the halving is coming up. And typically when we're about a year away, we do start rallying. This is about 4 months from being a year away. So I'm of the belief that we have potentially 4 more months of some struggle, some pain, before we either reach the bottom or before we start uptrending. So I'm sticking in with CleanSpark. I think we have at most another 4 months of pain. And this kind of does potentially line up with the macro environment in some ways. You know, we do know that the Fed has a couple more rate hikes to go, and then we may see them slow down a bit. While their wording does kind of make you think otherwise, I do think the market will reach a breaking point once we reach a certain rate. We know that housing is definitely having a hard time. People aren't able to afford these high rates. And I mean, even me, I'm paying somewhere around $600 to $800 just in interest, which is insane. But, you know, it is going to snap the market. And soon the Fed will have to relax a little bit. The only problem is inflation is still high. And we definitely have our macro environment to worry about. But I do think there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I do think the end of 2023, we could see a little bit of a bull run. And if not with the overall market, at least with Bitcoin. It could be potentially years until stocks recover to their all-time highs. But I do believe we are close to the bottom in the stock market and in Bitcoin. It's only a matter of time till we find that out. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you appreciated this video. I'm definitely going to hold tight with Workhorse and CleanSpark. These are definitely high-risk plays. But I think here the risk is worth the reward. Thanks for watching as always, guys, and take it easy.